Good evening, Oxfordshire, and welcome to the second in the Maverick series of webinars for Oxlep, the Oxfordshire Local Economic Partnership. So tonight what we're going to be talking about is the 4 principles of LinkedIn success. But before we start, what I would love you to do is to let me know in the comments where you're watching from, where in Oxfordshire are you. Let me know if you came along to the one a fortnight ago where we talked about optimizing your LinkedIn profile and building a profile that works. Say hello, let me know how you've been, and all of that good stuff. I love a bit of interaction. It makes me feel popular, and I'm very, very needy like that. So please do drop a comment in. And as we go through as well, make sure that you drop your comments in. And if we go through and we can answer your comments as we go, even better. But if not, then I'll go back through at the end and answer the questions at the end, okay? So as we go through, leave those comments, leave those questions. And if you want to add your point of view to anything that we discuss, drop that in there as well. It doesn't have to be just questions. So like I said, whether you're watching this on YouTube, whether you're watching this on LinkedIn, in fact, let me know that in the comments as well. Let me know that that's working and that you can see me and you can hear me all right. And in the next kind of 10, 20, 30 seconds, we'll get started, okay? So you can share this around as well. So any of your colleagues in the Oxfordshire region as well who you think might find this really useful, send them the link, share this with them and get them involved as well. The more the merrier. We always do love a crowd. So what I'd like you to do first, and this is something to have a little think about while we're waiting for more people to join. What do you think are the 4 principles of LinkedIn success? So this is what we're going to be talking about, and this is what the name of the event is. This is what the title is, the 4 principles of LinkedIn success. But I would love for you to have a little think about what you think those 4 pillars might be, what those 4 principles might be. So have a think, drop those in the comments as well. Let me know what you think would be included in these principles. Okay, have a little think. What do you think the 4 principles of LinkedIn success are? I've just seen Catherine's commented, hope that Bristol based is allowed. Shh, I won't tell anyone if you don't. It's absolutely fine. So if you've got any ideas, drop those in the comments. But while you're thinking about that and while you're dropping those comments, I'm going to let you know who this webinar is for, and I'm going to introduce myself and Maverick a little bit more if you're not already aware of what it is that we do and who we are. So first off, who's this webinar for? The same as last week. This is for anyone who is looking to sell products or services on LinkedIn, and anyone who's trying to establish thought leadership on LinkedIn as well. So trying to really raise your profile, but also if you're looking to be recruited on LinkedIn as well, if you're looking for a new opportunity and looking for a new role, it is also useful for you, because at the end of the day, you are still selling on LinkedIn. You're selling yourself to a prospective employer. So whichever category you fit into there, this is going to be super useful for you. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jay Unwin. I'm a digital engagement manager at Maverick. I've been here relatively short time. I've been here for about 4 months now, and it is an absolutely fantastic company to work for. I've learned a huge amount already. The learning curve, I thought I was pretty good on social media, but it is absolutely astonishing the stuff that Maverick have been putting out. Maverick's been around doing training, consulting and coaching businesses since 2014, and the mission of this company is to help 1 million businesses to grow their margin, revenue and profit. So you're going to be one of those million companies by attending this training and making sure that you implement it. Because if you watch this and you go away and you don't implement anything, nothing is going to happen. So you've got to remember that. Okay? If you go away and you don't implement anything, nothing happens. It'll be like having a car with a garage with a fancy new car in it that you've just bought, which you don't go and drive. It's just completely pointless. So take what you learned tonight and go and implement it, and you'll be part of those million businesses that are going to benefit from our training. Okay, we've got a comment there. Engagement, activity, connections, followers, business networking algorithm. Yeah, there's some great stuff in there, and you're actually right on a few of those points. You will as we go through, you'll see where you've hit the nail on the head. Okay. So 62% of users currently are struggling to leverage LinkedIn to generate sales. So 38% are managing to use LinkedIn in some form to make sales, but 62% are currently making no sales through their activity on LinkedIn. That's quite a high proportion when you think about it. And you think about especially the fact that LinkedIn is there really for business to business networking. It's there for business development and sales and finding clients and growing your business. So the fact that most of the people are not getting those results is really important to know. Now you'll know right now watching this which side of that pie chart you're in. Okay? I'm not expecting you to comment that, but you'll know whether you're getting the results you want from the platform at the moment. The majority of people are using LinkedIn as a research tool to send cold, spammy messages. So if you've ever received a kind of spammy message or a cold pitch in your inbox, if someone's just connected with you and they send you that pitch, that long kind of full email kind of message in your LinkedIn inbox, which is just telling you about how good their service is and that you should hire them. Drop a comment, let me know if that is something that you've experienced, because I'll be honest, I get it all the time and it doesn't ever work. Have you ever bought from from one of those messages? Probably not. Okay, but that is what a lot of people are doing on LinkedIn. And also, in terms of using it as a research tool and then not acting on it in the right way, it's all well and good doing research, and that's great. But if you're not acting on it in the right way, you're not going to get the results you want. What you really need to do is to have more conversations. You need to build relationships. And that's something that we really talked about 2 weeks ago when I did the last one of these webinars, is about starting to build those relationships. And that way you're going to have much greater success with the right people. You're going to be finding the right clients for you as well, the people who actually want to do business with you. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share with you the Maverick methodology. So this is a kind of 30,000 foot view of what our strategy is at Maverick. This is what we teach to our clients directly, whether they're small businesses, solopreneurs, all the way up to FTSE 100 companies. The same principles apply, it's just the scale that's different. And it's all based on these 5 things. It's all based on these 5 things. So you're starting off with your positioning yourself, positioning your company, having a roadmap, having a plan, getting the attention, getting the right attention, getting your prospects to show intent so you know whether they're interested in making a purchase, and that is what leads you to the results. Okay, now I'm not going to go into this in a huge amount of detail, but I just wanted you to understand that this is the process that we want to guide people through. And one of the biggest parts of this, and this is something you may have come across in sales, in marketing before. In fact, if you've come across this before, and the idea of the gap, where your client currently is compared to where they want to be. If this is something that you have come across, then please can you drop that in the comments as well. Let me know if you've come across this and let me know where you've heard it before. But if you speak to the gap in the journey, then you're really going to appeal to these specific people that you want to work with. Everything that I come on to after this relates back to the gap in your client's journey. So everything that we cover in the 4 principles is going to relate back to this, and it's going to work around this. So where your client currently is, where your prospective client currently is, and where they want to be, what's their desire? Now that gap is like their pain point. That gap, that distance between point 1 and point 2, point A and point B, that's the struggle, that's the challenge that your prospects are facing. And if you talk about that pain, if you talk about that gap, if you talk about the challenges that they're facing and what they're not getting, why are they not where they want to be? They can see that position in the distance. Why are they not there? And if you talk to that gap, if you speak to that gap, that is going to be such a powerful position for you to be in. So now we're going to come on to the 4 cogs. Now, we've talked about the 4 principles. This is another term for that, okay? It's not something different. The 4 cogs is just another name for the 4 principles, and we call them the 4 cogs because they work together. In any machine, if one cog is missing, it's not going to work very well. Or if one cog is rusty and needs repairing and replacing, it's not going to work very well either. So these are 4 things which work together, and that is so key to understand. They don't work on their own. Having one of these or 2 of these is not going to get the job done. You need to have all 4 working well in your strategy in order to get the results you want at the end of it. Think about it like a machine. Think about your strategy like a machine. Think about your strategy like having these moving parts which you need to keep, you need to maintain them. You need to keep them in working order. And the 4 cogs look like this: content, engage, connect, conversation. Okay? Content, engage, connect, and conversation. If you're just doing one of these things, like I said, you're not going to get the results. So if you're just putting content out, but you're not engaging, connecting, or having conversations, you're going to get nowhere. You may get some reach, you may get some people seeing some of your stuff, but you're not going to get a lot of it, and you're not going to get any conversations, you're not going to get any sales. If you've got content and you're engaging, then you might go viral. You might get some of these posts which get huge numbers of likes and huge numbers of comments, and therefore a very, very large reach. A lot of people are seeing what you're putting out. But if you're not connecting in the right way with the right people, and if you're not having conversations, then how are you going to end up getting the sales? It has to be all of these things. It has to be all of these things. And we're going to go through each of these one by one. We're going to go through each of these cogs one by one in a little bit more detail so that you understand how you can implement these into your own strategy, how you can build your own strategy that works on LinkedIn. So the first one, content. This is something which I think we all know we need to do, and yet a lot of people struggle with it. And I think one of the biggest challenges for people is that they're not sure what they should be posting. And it becomes a bit repetitive if you're saying the same thing over and over again. Now, it doesn't become repetitive for the other people, but it becomes repetitive for you. Other people are interested in what you've got to say, and sometimes you need to say the same thing a number of times before it clicks. But for you, it can get a bit dry, and I understand that. But you need to be consistent. You need to be posting frequently. And it doesn't have to be, in fact, it shouldn't be kind of a salesy post all the time. You're not trying to sell from your content. What you're trying to do is generate curiosity, generate interest. You want people who see your content to be interested in having a conversation with you. Nobody is going to buy from a link in your content, especially if you're selling a high value product or service. If you're selling something that's very, very low in value, then paid advertising and just getting the numbers through, that's the way to do it. If it's, selling something for 5, 10, 15, 20, 50 quid. But if you're selling something for £1,000, £2,000, £5,000, £25,000, then you want to have a conversation. No one's going to buy that from content. So stop trying to sell in your content and generate curiosity. And if you post frequently enough, you're going to stay visible. If you don't post frequently, two things happen. One, there aren't posts out there for people to see, but also LinkedIn will limit your reach because they don't really see you as being active on the platform. If you're posting regularly, then your content that you do put out will be pushed out more by the platform. The algorithm will work in your favor and you'll be front of mind. It's really important to note here that only 4% of LinkedIn users have posted within the last 30 days. 4%. So 96% of people on LinkedIn have not posted in the last month. Again, only you'll know where you are in those statistics, which side of the fence you're on. Are you in the minority who's posting regularly, or even just posted in the last month? Or are you in the majority who are just lurking and are essentially invisible? Because if you're invisible, you aren't going to get any leads. Okay, so have a think about that. Now, if you consider that only 4% have posted in the last 30 days, imagine what it is for the last week or the last 24 hours. It's a tiny fraction. So just by posting regularly, you become hugely more visible. You become that tiny percentage of people who are active and visible on the platform. Are you using hashtags? This is another thing to be aware of. And it's not just using hashtags, it's using the right ones. I've had a few conversations this week with people about hashtags and about how many to use on LinkedIn. Different platforms have different amounts that work well. On LinkedIn, it's 3. Your first 3 hashtags in any post are the ones which are indexed by LinkedIn. And you'll even see in the URL for your post that those 3 hashtags are actually in that URL, which works well for SEO and things like that. So are you using hashtags? Are you using too many? And are you using the right ones? And what I mean by the right ones is the hashtags that your prospective clients are likely to be following. I'll say that again. The hashtags that your prospective clients, the people you want to do business with, are likely to be following. Because what most people are doing, and maybe you're doing this as well, if you're doing this as well, drop a comment, let me know, because most of us have made this mistake. And that is using the hashtags of our own industry. So for example, if at Maverick we use the hashtag LinkedIn training on one of our posts, which would be relevant, or it would seem relevant because the post might be about LinkedIn training, it's something that we do, guess who's following that hashtag? It's other LinkedIn trainers. So all we're doing is we're promoting our post to our competition. And those aren't the people we want to see what we're doing. We want our prospective clients to see. And so if your prospective clients are in finance, for example, then you should be using hashtags related to them that they may be following. Even if your post isn't about finance, perhaps your post is about IT. Perhaps you've got an IT service that you want to sell into finance companies. Instead of using IT related hashtags, which will only be seen by other people in IT who are likely to be following that. If you want to get the attention of finance companies, use hashtag finance or related topics like that. I hope that makes sense. And obviously with your business and your prospective clients, that is going to vary. So just have a think about who it is that you're trying to reach and do a bit of research into what hashtags they're using and start using their hashtags on your posts. What happens to the hashtags beyond 3? Some clients believe they're still getting them seen. So they'll still show up in searches if people are searching for those specific things. But in terms of the feeds, I believe the feeds that people are following, it will only show in the first 3. Now, that's the more powerful thing. If you're putting extra hashtags on there, yes, if someone searches for that specific term on LinkedIn, then they may see your post. But that's going to be a very limited number of people. And very few people will search on LinkedIn for those things. They'll be searching places like Google. And you're not trying to appeal to people who already know they want your service. This is something which we haven't touched on in this session, but it's something we talk about a lot. And that is, if you're trying to appeal to the people who know they want your service, and they're already Googling it, and they're already looking up and comparing different companies, it becomes very transactional. So you're essentially trying to compete with other companies on things like price, and it becomes a bit more of a commodity. Now, if you start appealing to people, if you make it a priority to appeal to people and businesses that have the problem that you solve, but they're not really 100% aware of it yet, and if they are aware they're not looking for a solution yet, then when they do look for a solution, they're going to come straight to you. And so you're not looking for people who are using the search terms, you're looking for people who are way before that in the process. So rather than using those hashtags that you think people might be searching for, just think about where they're going to be hanging out, what are they already following. It's a mistake I made when I was working in the fitness industry. I used to use a lot of fitness-related hashtags, when in reality, the only people following those are other fitness people. And I wanted to work with people who weren't already involved in that industry. I wanted to work with people in different areas who, fitness wasn't something that was completely on their radar. And so when I learned this, I started using hashtags of the people who I was looking to do business with. So that's something that's really important to be aware of when you're using hashtags. So 3, and make sure they're relevant to the people you're trying to reach, not what you've posted about, not your own industry. And are you talking directly to your customer? So rather than being generic, and rather than writing in the third person, which is something that, again, has been the topic of a lot of conversations here this past week, writing in the third person or writing more generically doesn't switch people on as much. It doesn't get people's attention. If you're writing you rather than generic, if you're writing you feel like this, do you feel like this? Is this a problem that you have? Then that becomes very personal. So imagine when you're writing a piece of content that you're writing it to one person, like you're writing a letter or you're writing an email, you're writing it to one person. You're not writing it to a group of people, you're writing it to one person who you want to be interested enough to have a conversation with you. So when you write your content, be very specific. And of course, it helps a lot to have a very clear idea of who it is that you want to work with, because then you'll understand what's going to catch their attention. So understand who it is specifically that you want to get the attention of and speak directly to them in your content. And what will happen is you'll find that when you do this, your reach explodes. It really does, because once you start writing your content in a way which, for a start, you're doing it frequently, that's going to make a big difference. But when you're doing it in a way that you're using the right hashtags, it's getting in front of the right people, and you're speaking to a very specific person, then your engagement is going to increase as well. And that has a knock-on effect that your reach is going to improve as well. So your reach is going to improve straight away, and then it's going to improve in a secondary way from the increased engagement. And so, you know, there's an example here of a post and a recommendation that we've had from someone saying that they've had their first viral post within 2 days of finding Maverick on YouTube and applying these kind of tips, right? So they had their first viral post within 2 days, and we're looking at 53,000 views on this particular one, 91 comments and over 2,000 reactions. And that is just from following basic tips on how to structure your content. Real basic stuff, but it's stuff that people aren't doing. So just start implementing it and you will see the results. Like I said, if you don't implement it, nothing's going to happen. But those are the kind of results that you can get. And yes, having one viral post is not going to completely turn your business around. But if you're doing that regularly and you're getting more reach over a kind of weekly, monthly, quarterly period, then of course more eyeballs on what you do cannot be a bad thing. It's all about visibility when it comes to content. So the next cog is engage. So once you're putting your content out regularly, what's the next part? Engage. Are you liking and interacting with your prospects? And not just on your own posts either, but on their posts. So engagement is a very, very powerful thing. All platforms, all social media platforms want engagement. They want everyone to be interacting with each other. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, it doesn't matter. They want interaction, they want engagement. And so of course you want to optimize your posts for engagement as well. And then you want to go and engage elsewhere on the platform, specifically with the people who you want to be seeing your stuff. So in terms of optimizing your post for engagement, I mean, this links back to writing your content, of course. The things that I've already shared with you are going to benefit the engagement, but also on top of that, there's a few extra little bits which will really make a difference. One of them is asking questions. It might seem simple because obviously if you ask a question, you're more likely to get an answer. If someone makes a statement, it's a lot harder to leave a comment. Whereas if someone asks a question, it's easier to leave a comment. And you want to make it easy for people to engage. You want to make it more of a no-brainer. You don't want to make it difficult for them to leave a comment. And so if you ask questions, you'll find that increases dramatically because you've offered them the interaction, you've offered them the engagement. So if you ask questions at the start of your post, especially in those first few lines before the fold, so before someone has to click see more to see the rest of the post, you've got about 3 lines on LinkedIn. And if you put a question, a short question, a one-line question, in there, not only are you going to catch the eye of the people that you want to see your post, if it's relevant, you're also going to encourage them to leave a comment. In fact, you can get 2 good questions in that space because you could have a one-line question, a line space, a second question. You're generating curiosity. People are going to go, oh, I want to know what this is about. Click see more. So the dwell time is increased and that improves your reach because LinkedIn go, oh, hey, people are hanging about on this post. It must be good quality. But those questions are also going to make people want to share their own opinions and share their own ideas and share their thoughts on what it is that you're writing about. So try asking questions and keep the lines short with breaks in between them because again, people are more likely to read through it and actually answer your questions if it's in very short sentences and paragraphs rather than big chunky paragraphs which people just can't be bothered to read and they're going to scroll past. Now, when people do comment, interact with that. Go back through and reply to their comments. Start that conversation, which we'll come on to later in the cogs, but start that conversation in the comments. Because not only will the people who you reply to appreciate that and feel valued and be more likely to get invested in who you are and what you do and what you're about, more likely to become fans rather than just followers, then the people who see the post and they haven't left a comment yet, if they see that you're replying to the comments, that is going to lift you up in their estimations. It's going to make you look more engaged, even to the people who aren't engaged themselves. They're going to notice that. So like their comment and reply, especially if they've asked a question. Don't just leave them hanging, because you don't know where that's going to go. Don't try and sell to them straight away. Just start the conversation, show an interest. And then you can always move that conversation into a message, and then you can arrange a call off the back of that. And that's what we're going to come on to. But make sure that you're replying, you're responding to the people who are engaging with you. And also, are you leveraging congratulations, birthdays, and endorsements? So you'll get a notification every time someone in your network has a birthday, or they celebrate an anniversary of the job that they're in. And you'll get a congratulations kind of notification if they've got a new job or a new role within their company. And you can use these as opportunities to engage. You can leave a comment on those, or you can send them a message. I think leaving a comment and liking the post can be a really, really valuable way of doing that, because people like that kind of public congratulations. People love that. The messages, often they won't necessarily get replied to, but if you do it publicly, people are going to start getting to know who you are. They're going to see your face. They're going to see your profile pop up. And this ties back in with the kind of that first point, liking and interacting, because every time there is an interaction, every time you take an action on LinkedIn, people get notified. So if you like someone's post, they'll get a notification, and they'll see your name, they'll see your profile picture, and they'll be like, oh, who's this guy? And if you then visit their profile, of course, they're going to get another notification. If you congratulate them or wish them happy birthday, they're going to get another notification. And this way they can start getting to know you before you jump into the conversation side of things. Right back at the start of this, I was saying about most people sending pictures and cold messages on LinkedIn. And what you'll find is that people ignore that because they don't know who it's from. Okay, people, if they don't know you, why would they respond? It's a bit forward, right? And one of the examples I've used in the past is about dating. You wouldn't just go straight in and ask someone to marry you on the first date. You'd build a relationship first. And it's the same with this. So start interacting publicly, start interacting on their content, engaging with their comments on your posts, and start the conversation going there, so that when you do send them a message, they don't see your name pop up and go, who's this? I don't know who this is. They go, ah, yeah, this is the person who da-da-da-da-da. They've been on my profile, they've wished me a happy birthday. And the endorsement side of things as well, you can leave endorsements on people's pages. Real simple way of just saying, hey, look, I've seen what you're putting out, and I think it's valuable in these different ways, and I'm going to endorse you for these things. I'm going to endorse you for marketing. I'm going to endorse you for content. I'm going to endorse you for whatever it happens to be that they're specialists in. They're going to get a notification from that as well. And it's something that they will value and they will appreciate. And if you're doing something they appreciate, that is a really strong foundation for a relationship going forward. Now, if you start engaging, one of the things you'll notice is that your profile views will increase dramatically. You will see, I don't know whether this is actually a screenshot of my profile when I started at Maverick. No, the dates are wrong, but it looked very similar to this. It was kind of flat for a long time, and then when I started implementing this myself, my profile views rocketed. In the space of a week, my profile views went up by 500%. 500% in 1 week. Is the change in my profile views, just by engaging more, putting out better content, gearing it towards engagement, speaking to the right people, using hashtags properly, and my profile views rocketed up. Now, if you reflect back on the webinar from 2 weeks ago, when we talked about profile optimization, and we talked about your profile on LinkedIn is your social selling landing page, then this is the goal. Every interaction, every engagement leads back to your profile. And then when people come to see your profile, then they will see what you do. You don't need to tell them. You don't need to reply to their comments with, hey, this is what I do and this is how I can help you, because you just come across pushy and salesy. But if you just add value and you start a conversation, they'll go, who's this? Click, they'll see your profile, they'll see a header image and all the good stuff on your profile, and they'll understand what it is that you do if you've set it up right. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch it. If you watched that one, drop that in the comments as well. Let me know if you watched last week's, sorry, not last week's one, 2 weeks ago. when we talked about the about profile optimization. If you've been through that, drop that in the comments. If you haven't yet, then go back and watch that. If you're not sure where to find that, drop that in the comments as well, and I'll get back to you and I'll send you the link and everything. So you can go back and watch the Oxlet webinar from a fortnight ago, and it will all piece together so that your strategy is a whole. So what you'll see is your profile views will increase, and you can check this on your dashboard. So if you go to your own profile and scroll down, you will see your dashboard fairly near the top of your profile now. They've actually moved it up a little bit. And you'll be able to see your profile views and how they're improving based on your changes that you're making. And you will also be able to see your post views and your search appearances as well. So have a look at that and see how just changing these things around engagement will improve the number of people who are actually seeing you, because that's what it's all about. Now, the third cog in the machine is connect. This is something which is, again, I mean, I could say this about all the cogs, that they are usually done wrong. The content is normally done wrong. Yeah. The engagement is normally done wrong. Yeah. The connecting is definitely often done wrong. And the problem here is this is where you start getting onto very dodgy ground if you're not doing it right. Because if you're not doing this right, it starts flagging up to LinkedIn, and what they will do is they will restrict your account. Because the thing that they really want to avoid you doing is spamming people. They don't want the whole experience of LinkedIn to be spoiled by people connecting with every single person and spoiling their experience and spamming them and sending them messages and all of that horrible stuff. So it is important that you get this right, because otherwise you're going to end up with restrictions or even a complete ban. First off, create a list of around 100 to 150 prospects. Now, this can be a working document. You can add to this as you connect, but always have a list of around 100 to 150 prospects. Now, if you're working on particular accounts, then these prospects could be people in certain roles within those companies that you want to target. So if you're looking for individuals, then it can be a list of 100 to 150 individuals. Now, the thing here is you want to connect with about 10 to 15 per day. There's a limit now on how many you can connect with each week. This is a new limit which has only come in within the past month, and you're limited to connecting with 100 people per week. That is your limit. You cannot connect with more than that. In fact, I believe it might still be even a bit less if you're on the free version of LinkedIn still. But the maximum, even on the full kind of Sales Navigator and the Teams versions of LinkedIn, it is 100 connections per week. So you want to make sure that you're not wasting those. You want to make sure that you are connecting with the people who are going to be best in your network. They're more relevant. So create a list of the people you'd like to connect with and refer to this list. And if you connect with around 10 to 15 a day, that will keep you below the weekly limit. Even if you did 7 days a week, 15 a week, that's what, 105. So, you know, you're just over the limit there. But if you're connecting with 10, 5 days a week, then you're going to be well under the limit. So connect with 10 to 15 a day. Now, on the slide here, it says, remember, engage. Engage. Because what you want to do is engage with these prospects before you send them a request. Okay? This is so important to understand, and it's something which is missed by almost everyone. There's very few people who understand this. You need to engage on the profiles before you send a connection request. And here's why. There's two reasons why. One we've already touched on, and that is that when you send that request, the person already knows who you are. They've seen you engage. They've seen you visit their profile. They've seen you like their posts, wish them a happy birthday, give them an endorsement. And so when you send that request, they already know who you are. They've probably visited your profile. They've probably already checked you out. And so when you send that connection request, they're going to go, oh, hey, yeah, okay, I know this person. This is a real person. They're actually interested in me. Accept. So your level of acceptance of your request is going to increase, which means that you're making a better use of the limited number of connection requests you can send. You're not wasting them, just sending them out to people who have absolutely no interest and don't know who you are. So engage first. When you've got your list of 100 to 150 prospects, go through, have a look at their posts. If they're posting regularly, then comment on a couple of them, leave a like, leave a reaction. If they haven't posted much at all, of course you can kind of go back, and if they haven't posted for the last 6 months, you can still comment. But if you don't feel comfortable doing that, of course, just going to their profile is an interaction in a lot of ways. They're going to see that notification, but also you could follow them, you could endorse them, there's a number of different things you can do. But if you do that first, they're going to know who you are. And the second reason why that is so important is because LinkedIn have that as part of their algorithm. You are more likely to get flagged for spam if you are connecting with people whose profiles you haven't even visited. If you haven't left footprints around that profile, such as a profile visit, an interaction on some content, then LinkedIn will flag that over time. And if you do that a lot and you're just connect with people whose profiles you've never visited, you're likely to get a restriction on your account. So engage first, and then send a connection, request, and you'll get much, much better results. And the reason you want to grow your network, the reason you want to do this, I mean, some people on one side are adding everyone and anyone, which isn't great. On the other side, you might not be adding anyone at all. You might be like, well, I'm not growing my network because my network is people I already know. It's people I've met in person. I haven't met anyone in person over the last 12 months because of everything that's gone on, so I'm not growing my network. But you're missing a trick here. You're leaving business on the table because there are lots and lots of people out there who are interested in what you're doing, who you might not have met in person. And if you are running events, if you're putting content out, whatever you're doing on LinkedIn, if your connections list isn't growing, then you're just putting it out to the same people over and over and over again, which of course is fine because those people might not be ready yet, but they might be in the future. But if you're not bringing new people into that network, into your network, then you're going to be missing a trick because there are going to be hundreds of people out there, thousands of people out there who will be interested in what you do, but you're not giving them the opportunity because they're not in your network, and so they're not seeing what you do. So as long as you're specific and you're adding the people who are relevant to what it is that you're offering, and you're curating your network in a way which is relevant to your business and what you want to achieve, and you're doing it in a way where you're engaging first and you're not switching them off, you're not being spammy, you're not sending them a pitch straight into their inbox as soon as you connect, but you're doing it in a more relational, social way, then you'll grow your network ethically, you'll grow it full of people who actually respect you, full of people who are interested in what you do, and that is a great foundation for the relationship, because when they're seeing your post, they're more likely to comment as well. You know, you might have a network of thousands of people who just aren't interested. If you've got 10,000 connections on LinkedIn but you're getting no engagement, what does that tell you? You want to make sure that your connections are relevant and they're good quality and they're the right people for you. But it is important to grow them, okay? Don't just leave your network where it is now. And the fourth cog, so the final cog in the four, so we've done content, we've done engagement, we've done connecting, and now we're on to conversation. Now this is the part where you can really start getting some depth to the relationship. This is the part where you can really start understanding your prospects and start understanding what problems they're facing and what pains they've got, what challenges they've got. And you'll know whether you can solve that for them. And you'll know which of your offerings is going to be the most relevant to them. So the conversation is vital. Again, you're not going to sell in a LinkedIn message. So the people who send these long pitches saying, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what we can solve, da 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 da, and you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling to get to the end of it. And at the bottom it says, hit this link if you want to buy my course, or join my mastermind, or pay for this workshop, or whatever it is. Nobody buys from those, or very, very few people do. I mean, part of me thinks, well, a tiny percentage of people must buy from those, because otherwise why are so many people still doing it? But I've never bought from one, have you? Most people don't. Especially if it's a lot of money, because you just think, who's this person in my inbox? I don't know who they are. I'm not going to give them my money. So the conversation is about getting people onto a call. Each stage here really is about selling the next step. It's not about selling your product, it's not about selling your service, it's about selling just the next step. So your content is selling engagement. Your content is, the first couple of lines are selling clicking see more. That's all you're selling in the first 2 lines. You're selling click see more. Once people have read the rest of that post, what you're selling is engagement. You're trying to get them to engage. With your engagement, you're trying to get them to be interested enough to accept your connection request. So you're only selling the next cog. You're only selling the next principle. And in a conversation, the goal is to get them into a meeting, maybe face-to-face when that comes back, or a video call or a phone call. The idea is to get a meeting, not a text backwards and forwards conversation, but an actual verbal conversation or a video conversation or a face-to-face conversation. That's what we want to do. Now, in the conversation, there is one overarching principle which trumps everything else, and that is be interested. Okay? Be interested in that person. Be interested in what they're doing. What's their business doing? What's it about? What do they offer? Why did they start that business? What are their challenges? So the best way to do this is to ask questions. Because if you ask questions, people love to talk about themselves. People love to share what's going on for them. And so if you ask questions, they're gonna know that you're genuinely interested. Now, it doesn't work if you're not interested. It doesn't. But you should be interested, because this is the detail that's going to allow you to ascertain whether they are the right fit for you, because some people just won't be the right fit for you, so you can pick and choose who you work with, and it will also give you the best idea of how you can help. You can gear your solution to them. So you should be interested. And most of us are, on even just a human level. We're interested in other people. We want to hear their ideas. We are fascinated by people. That's just human nature. So ask them questions. Say thank you for the connection for accepting the connection request as well. So with that, I mean, the conversation straight off the back of that, once someone has accepted your connection request, say thank you and ask them a question. Now, don't make it a pitchy question where they know exactly, what it is that you're selling. If you build websites and you say, thanks for accepting the connection request, how's your website? Or anything like that, how's your website doing for you? They're going to know that you're leading them down a path. But if you ask them a genuine question about something, maybe something they posted about recently, maybe something about how their business has dealt with the last kind of 12 to 18 months of upheaval, or something relevant to their industry, then they're going to want to talk about it. So connect. And this is something which I find fascinating about kind of human interactions. When we meet people in person, we don't bond necessarily over our business stuff, even if we're in a business setting. We often bond over personal things, family, holidays, sports, music, movies. We love getting to know people. Now, if you drop kind of these kind of zany questions into your first message, again, people think that it's a tactic. But if you're genuinely showing an interest in, where they live, and their interests and stuff they've posted about, they're going to enjoy that conversation. And that's what we want. We want them to enjoy it. We want them to feel comfortable, at ease, because you don't know where this conversation is going to go. Don't ever cold pitch people. It just doesn't work. The success rate is tiny. It's absolutely tiny. For cold outreach, you're looking at 0.4%. And that's a statistic that we use a lot because it's pulled off a website of a company who promote cold outreach. They sell kind of cold outreach lead gen. And they're saying, from every 1,000 cold outreach messages, you'll get 4 sales. And that's a selling point for them. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're even pumping it up. And that's a 0.4% success rate. So what about the other 99.6% of the people you've messaged? You're just burning them. So just don't do it. Don't cold pitch. No one wants to read it. If they do read it, they're either going to ignore you or they're going to send a polite message back, but know in the back of their mind, I am never going to do business with that person. The more personalized your outreach, the more likely you'll get a reply. Okay? So the more personalized it is, if you're using their name, of course that is personalized. But go a bit further, reference things about their profile, where they're from, their business. If you make it as personalized as possible, people will reply. And a great way of making it even more personalized, and you can only do this from the LinkedIn app, not from the desktop, and that's voice notes. Sending a quick voice note, they're a maximum of 60 seconds, but if you just sent a quick thank you once someone is connected and you say, hey Jane, thank you so much for accepting my connection request. Really great to be connected and be part of your network. Looking forward to seeing more of your content. And you make some reference to something else about, content or that they posted recently or their business or anything. But that level of personalization has a really powerful effect on whether someone feels that rapport with you. There's something about that voice note which you just go, I really appreciate the time that they've taken to send a voice note and they've said my name and it's very personalized. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel valued as a connection of this person. They don't just connect and then ignore me. They actually want me to be a part of their network. And therefore, that is something which means that you're much, much more likely to get a response from. Don't do this. So this is a few examples of, when you don't get a response, or let's say you've had a cold pitch in your inbox and you haven't responded because who does? And then you get these messages. These are ones from Dean, our CEO, that he's got. Just realized I never heard back from you. Let me know if you'd be interested in having a chat. Now, this person has just not got a response. And so it's this just circling back, hey, just bumping this up to the top of your inbox. These kind of reminders, they're desperate, right? For want of a better word, they are desperate. Your prospects, if you do this, your prospects will see, hear, they'll feel the desperation, and nobody wants to do business with someone who's desperate. No one wants to do business with a desperate company. So don't do this. If you do send an email or a message which makes you, which you haven't got a response to, and you want to refresh their memory, instead of messaging them, go and engage. Go back a few cogs. Go back to engagement. Go to their profile. Like a post. Endorse them for something. Even if you just visit their profile, when they see their profile views, if they're checking them regularly, they will see your face and they'll go, oh yeah, there was that message. They'll see that. So remind them in a different way rather than this over obvious way, which just comes across as desperate. Another thing with the messaging, just before we kind of move on, is with your messages, if they look like emails, then that's going to be a problem. If they look like a WhatsApp chat, that's better. You want them to be conversational. You want it to be to and fro. If it's a long email, you're not going to get, it just doesn't do well for conversation. It's not a dialogue. It's you just word vomiting into their inbox. So you want to have a conversation. You want it to be a dialogue. So short messages, as if you were texting or WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, these short messages, and ask questions and keep the conversation going. So there's a few examples here, of testimonials we've got on our Trustpilot, which relate to some of how these four cogs lead to conversations which result in deals. At the top here, one of the biggest deals that we've helped people close, after 3 weeks of working with us on LinkedIn, they were able to close a deal of $1.5 million. All this stuff down at the bottom there, you've got another one, 8K plus sales on LinkedIn from 0 sales before following our course. So this stuff works. This is a real overview, a basic overview of the fundamental principles of what we teach our clients. And so if these people who are implementing it, if these businesses who are implementing it are getting these astonishing results, then you can too. You can take what you've learned tonight, implement it, and get those results. And that's what it's all about. Now, I'm going to give you something which will be real easy, kind of quick reference. So what I'll do is I'll put this up on the screen, the checklist. What I would recommend is if you take a screenshot of this, or you take a photo of the screen with your phone or whatever, I'll get Luke to put it up. There we go, perfect. So if you take a photo of this or a screenshot, then you've got a checklist of things that you can do within these four cogs to improve your results on LinkedIn. So first of all, defining your ideal client, like we said, and then creating your prospect list, developing your positioning, posting your content daily, Monday to Friday. If that seems like a lot, start with Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 times a week, something like that, and build up to every weekday. but aim for every weekday eventually. Use hashtags, use the right hashtags though. Engage with your prospects both on your own posts but on other people's posts as well. Connect to second degree prospects. This was actually something which I didn't mention. Don't connect to third degrees, only connect to second degrees, because again, connecting to second degrees will get you much more success in terms of the number of people who will say, yeah, I want to connect. Don't send more than 10 to 15 requests a day. 10 to 15 requests a day is the maximum. Don't cold pitch people, ever. Keep engaging with prospects to keep you front of mind. Don't keep messaging them, but keep engaging once you've had that first kind of message, that thank you message and that start of a conversation. But keep engaging with them publicly as well, on their content, on their profile, and start a conversation. Start a dialogue. Have a chat with people. Be a human being. Something that people forget when they're on digital platforms. We're all human beings. When you chat to someone face to face, when you meet people face to face, you act in a certain way. When you meet them online, a lot of people act differently. You don't walk up to someone and immediately just pitch them. You don't do that. You're not in a cafe and you just turn around to someone and you just pitch them. You don't do that. So don't do it on digital platforms either. Build a relationship. So as a recap, what I'd like you to do before we have a Q&A, by the way, while we're doing the recap, bung any questions in the comments, because we've got about 10 minutes, 5-10 minutes, we can do some more questions. So if there's anything that you want me to clarify about content, about engagement, about connecting, and about having a conversation, if there's anything that I've said which hasn't made sense, it has been known to happen. If I've said anything which doesn't make sense, or you want clarifying, or you've got questions, you want more detail, bung that in the comments now. Whether you're on LinkedIn, whether you're on YouTube, doesn't matter, okay? Drop them in the comments and I'll get them up in front of me and I'll answer them. While you're doing that, because there's a little delay, what I'd also like you to do is to recap, write in the comments, the 4 principles of LinkedIn success. All right, let's see if you remember them. So the 4 things that I've gone through, I even said them on the last slide, so hopefully you can remember. Bung those in the comments. If you've been taking notes, this should be nice and easy for you. So like I said, in the comments, the 4 principles of LinkedIn success. What have you learned tonight? What are the 4 things you need to concentrate on? And what questions do you have? Okay, what questions do you have? Like I said, we've got a few minutes and I'd like to make sure that you guys have got what you need to go out and implement this, because I want you to be part of those million businesses that we are going to help grow in terms of their revenue, in terms of their profit, in terms of their margin over the coming months and years. Okay, after this, there's only one more thing that I want to share with you, so get those questions in. If we haven't got any questions, that's cool. If you haven't got any questions at all, say that as well. Just say some nice stuff about me. I'm happy to hear compliments. So if you haven't got any questions, just anything at all that you want to say, drop that in the comments. But if we haven't got anything, I'll just move on to the final thing that I want to say. Now, Oxlep very kindly are putting on, oh, here we go. There's a couple of people getting those in. Content, engage, connect, conversation. Lovely. Perfect. You have been listening. Well done, guys. So, content, engage, connect, conversation. Love that. Now, Oxlep, who are providing these webcasts for you guys, for providing these webinars for you to train you up and to help your businesses grow in the Oxfordshire region. They've got some absolutely brilliant resources on the website, and this is one that I really wanted to share with you tonight, called the Oxlep Business Support Tool. Now this is like a series of questions. It only takes you about 5-10 minutes to go through, and what you end up with is a very personalized kind of report at the end with advice, and it allows Oxlep to know what kind of support is relevant for you. What kind of support is relevant for you? Where's your business at now? What do you need help with? And they can support you in the best way, whether it's financially and they can point you in the direction of grants and things like that, or whether it is more about some coaching or mentorship or whatever it is that your business needs. If you go to the Oxlep Business Support Tool, now the link for this is in the description for this video. So you can just hit that link and it will take you to this. Or if you go to oxlepbusiness.co.uk, and click on the menu, it is the first thing in the menu, okay? And I think it's about 20 questions. It only takes you 5-10 minutes. So if you go to the Oxlep Business Support Tool, you'll be able to get advice on what's next for your business. You'll be able to get that support, and this is a fantastic tool that Oxlep provide for you. I couldn't recommend it highly enough. It is really, really fantastic. So any other questions? Maverick Rocks, thank you for these trainings. You are more than welcome, LinkedIn user. Your name didn't come up for that one. What is the best time to post? From Dean. I think your typing's off tonight, mate. What's the best time to post? So if you want to get some really good engagement on your post, there's 3 good times of day. The best one, we believe, is in the morning between like kind of 7 and 8 a.m. It's early in the morning, and some people think, oh, people aren't on LinkedIn at that time. But remember, it is a social network. People are waking up, they're checking it on their phones. It's still a social network, even though it's a business platform. So early morning is great, because a really good thing there as well is it's got a long time for people to see it, because it's on in the morning. It's got the full day for people to see your to see your content. So early morning is great. Now, if you don't get one in 7 till 8 a.m., then lunchtime is another good time. So kind of 1 till 2 p.m. kind of time is really good for people who are checking their phones at lunchtime, checking LinkedIn when they haven't got meetings and stuff like that. And the final good time to post is in the evening, kind of between that 5-6 p.m. region, or 6 to 7 p.m, that kind of region, when people are on the home commute, because people are on their way home. If they're on the train, they're on the tube, and they're on their phones. They're less likely to have meetings at those times of day, so they're more likely to be on the platform, and that is when you want to get that visibility. So early morning is the best, 7 till 8 a.m. If not, kind of just after lunch, and then the commute home. Those are the 3 times that I would recommend. So thank you so much for watching, guys. If you haven't got any more questions or anything like that, I'm going to say goodnight. Thank you for watching. Please share this with anyone you think would benefit from it. And don't forget to head over to the Oxlet website, check out the business support tool. The link is in the description. And remember, in 2 weeks' time, we will have another webinar for you. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great evening.